What's up, YouTube? Well wishes to you. Well wishes especially today to everyone down in Florida right now who are in the path of Hurricane Irma. One of the more terrifying natural events to watch unfold in recent memory. As an East Coaster, personally, I can't remember this much concern over a hurricane since Sandy 5 years ago, so my thoughts are with everyone down there. But today we're going to look back on a hip-hop artist whose impact was not all that different from a hurricane or another natural disaster, in that he came in, he just completely shattered the status quo and kind of forced the genre to rebuild itself partially around his innovative footprint. I'm talking, of course, about Kanye West. Trigger warning here, this next statement might make you feel fucking old, but today, Kanye's third record, Graduation, turns 10 years old. That is crazy to me. I just feel so helpless watching time go by because there's nothing you can do about it. It just happens and you look back and you're just like, where the fuck did 10 years of my life go? But to me, Graduation is one of the best and most interesting records in Kanye's catalog, and I wanted to offer my thoughts as a fan and also reflect on my perspective on it now as opposed to when it came out when I was a teenager. So of course, context is everything. Kanye West's career first gained traction in the late 1990s and the early 2000s when he came to prominence as a beatmaker, a highly acclaimed and highly sought after beatmaker. He most notably produced a portion of Jay-Z's The Blueprint album, some smash singles from Scarface and Talib Kweli and several others. His production style was very heavy on sampling, particularly old soul and R&B music, and his beats really were unique and stood out, and he rightfully garnered a lot of acclaim as a producer and beatmaker. But Kanye had a dream, and Kanye's dream was not to be just a producer. Kanye had his sights set on a solo career as a rapper. Now, in retrospect, label executives and peers of Kanye's fully admit that at the time, no one wanted to hear Kanye rap. No one thought that he could be a compelling solo artist. They just wanted him to be a producer. Kanye, of course, being Kanye, said, fuck you, got a deal with Jay-Z's Rockefeller Records, and released his debut album, The College Dropout, in 2004 to instant superstardom and a lot of critical acclaim. What makes The College Dropout so significant was that it was the complete antithesis of what rap was at the time. At the time, rap was 50 Cent. Rap was Unit. Rap was I'm invincible and I'm super hood and I'm gonna kill all of you and fuck all your girlfriends and roll around in piles of money. And Kanye comes along and he's rapping about religion and being insecure and addressing all these more middle-class struggles. He was completely different than his contemporaries, and hip-hop is still feeling the ripple effect of Kanye West and the impact that he has had and continues to have. Of course, if you're watching this, you already know this shit, so let's move on and talk about Kanye's third record, Graduation. So Kanye's first two albums had had this somewhat modest, soul-driven sound that I had gotten very accustomed to and I had been enjoying the hell out of. And then, I remember like it was fucking yesterday, in the summer of 2007, when Kanye dropped the single Stronger ahead of the release of Graduation. Technically, Stronger was actually the second single to tease Graduation, but it was the first one that I heard. And I could not believe what I was hearing. It was so different from any hip-hop song that I had ever heard. Kanye had completely abandoned the sound of his first two albums and just made this exhilarating electro rap masterpiece. He took a sample of Daft Punk's Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, which, by the way, people who aren't Daft Punk fans tend to forget that Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger has a completely different energy than what Kanye did to it. Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger is a slightly more modest, a little bit funkier house track, but Kanye took it and completely changed the chord progression to something a bit more rock influenced. He added these enormous stadium-sized synthesizers. He added a busier, crackling drum kit, and he threw on some confident, unapologetic, swaggering rhymes that are part a testament to perseverance and resilience and part braggadocious. And he crafted one of what I think one of the perfect singles of this century. I can't say with absolute certainty that Stronger single-handedly changed the face of music, but what I can say is that Kanye was several years ahead of that electronic dance music craze that was just around the bend. Not even 3 years later, everybody and their mother would be listening to house music, especially in America because in Europe it was always a big thing. But whether Kanye was simply ahead of that curve or helped make it a reality here in America, of course that's up for debate. And in regards to Stronger, before we move on, I just want to point out that it's the small things that help make this song what it is. Like, notice how in the chorus, all of those deep breaths, those deep inhales that you would normally hear Kanye take are completely edited out. And the effect is that he almost seems like inhuman. He seems like this commanding presence, like hyping you up from above. Seriously, listen to rock, metal, hip hop, pop. If you listen closely, a lot of times you'll hear the artist take a breath, inhale, exhale, just because that's how a vocal track comes out. But in Stronger, you don't hear it at all. And if you think that wasn't intentional, if you think that's just a coincidence, remember that Kanye West is such a perfectionist that this song was rumored to be mixed like 75 times before the final version that we heard. And it turned out that Stronger was just the tip of the fucking iceberg. Because once Graduation dropped 10 years ago today, top to bottom, it was just this bold makeover of Kanye's sound. These songs had a sound that was way brighter, it was synth heavy, it was noticeably digital, there was a notable pop influence at nearly every turn. My personal favorite track, Flashing Lights, that song to me is like the one song that embodies what this album sounds like to me when I think of this album's sound. Things were also significantly toned down from a lyrical perspective. Like Kanye's rhymes had become way less wordy and he gave way more space in between bars to allow a maximum impact of these often larger than life lyrics. Like a phenomenal example of this is the song Can't Tell Me Nothing. Who has heard that song more than once can't recite the first verse? Every single word is just spaced out and meant to be completely anthemic. Which brings me to this album's sort of pioneering of a hip hop subgenre. Because people have come to label Graduation as arena rap, potentially taking cues from Kanye himself, where on the song Big Brother he has that ad-lib where he says stadium status. And this album is exactly that. Basically every track sounds like it was written and produced for arenas. The synth-driven, 80s influenced beats, the pop hooks, the constant rhyming about his own superstardom and his own legacy and his own huge following. It all just screams arena. You listen to Graduation and you can't help but imagine Kanye like in the round at, say, Prudential Center, New Jersey, and performing Good Life or Champion or Stronger to just thousands and thousands and thousands of people. But whether you want to call it arena rap or pop rap or whatever, the immediate influence of this album cannot be overstated. Just look at some of the prominent sounds that emerged in hip-hop in the following 5 years. How about the whole frat rap subgenre? Mac Miller on his Kids mixtape, Chitty Bang on The Preview. Remember that Hoodie Allen song, No Interruption, that like every 18-year-old girl ever like knew every word to? Those house style synths in that chorus? Come on. All of these people are at least partially indebted to Graduation. It's just undeniable. Not to mention a guy like Logic on his Young Sinatra mixtapes. Childish Gambino is another one, early Childish Gambino. This album just changed the game in so many ways. Particularly influential is the track Homecoming with Chris Martin from Coldplay, which at the time was a bit of an odd collaboration. Well, look at hip hop now. Everybody and their mother has to get that pop or alternative singer on one of their hooks to make the album sound, I guess, diversified. Everything from B.O.B.'s Airplanes with Hayley Williams from Paramore, all the way to that last Macklemore and Ryan Lewis album, which had Ed Sheeran on a track. Now it's almost become like status quo in the pop rap world to think outside the box in terms of crossover collaborations. But when Kanye did it, it was a bit unusual. Another thing this album pioneered or helped pioneer, at least by Kanye's own assessment, is what became known as hashtag rap, which was a popular rhyming style in the late 2000s and early 2010s, where an MC would spit a metaphor and then just remove the word like from the sentence and leave space in between. So like a perfect example would be Drake's song Forever. Swimming in the money, come and find me, Nemo. And every single mainstream rapper was doing that at that time. There's a song on Graduation called Barry Bonds with Lil Wayne where the hook is, here's another hit, Barry Bonds. And while it's tough to exactly pinpoint like when the first hashtag rhyme was uttered, it did become enormously popular in the immediate years following Graduation. So what's also so enjoyable about Graduation is just Kanye's personality on it, because it marks the moment in his career where by now he had developed this overwhelming narcissistic swagger, but he hadn't yet become self-obsessed to the point where it would start affecting the quality of his music, like on Yeezus when he started calling himself a god and shit. Graduation is the point where Ye had really started feeling himself, but he hadn't gone completely psycho yet. And we still get vulnerable Kanye on here, which, if you ask me, is the best Kanye. With the closing track, Big Brother, which is probably my second favorite track on the album. It's just this touching dedication to his friend and mentor, Jay-Z. Kanye has so many memorable lines on here where he talks about how on the Diamonds from Sierra Leone remix, Jay-Z just kicked his ass. And he also has this slightly guilty tangent about when he kind of went behind Jay-Z's back and complained about Jay-Z copying his Coldplay collaboration. It's one of the most heartfelt and moving songs of Kanye's career, and it's a side of him that I frankly miss. And obviously, I'm not the only person who loves this album because it was hugely successful from a commercial standpoint, and I think that was for several reasons. One reason was the momentum that Kanye had built up to that point. He dropped 2 back-to-back classics with College Dropout, Late Registration, and so people were just kind of on him and waiting for his next move. Another reason I think was Stronger being such an impressive teaser single. You know, in 2017, in this age where people just drop full albums out of nowhere, it's easy to forget the effect, the powerful effect that a traditional rollout can have if you have the right singles slowly building anticipation towards one album being released. And there's also the infamous sales battle that Kanye had with 50 Cent the week of Graduation's release. Basically what happened is 50 Cent's third album, Curtis, also dropped on the same day as Graduation, and 50 Cent challenged Kanye. He said, "If you outsell me, I will quit rapping," which of course never happened. Kanye fucking slaughtered him and sold almost 1 million copies, and 50 Cent's still out there, still kicking, which it's unfortunate that 50 Cent didn't follow through on his promise to quit the rap game, because there has been extremely little in the way of decent music from 50 Cent in the last 10 years. The guy is still basing his career on one great album that came out in 2003. And look, I'm not going to say that Graduation is a perfect album. I think that almost everyone can agree that the track Drunken Hot Girls with Mos Def is just a total snooze fest and a total waste of a Mos Def collaboration. And personally, I would also point to the song The Glory as a bit of a skippable track. But these other 11 songs, I just fucking love this album. I still listen to this album like once a week. Which, when you consider how many different albums that I listen to, that's a lot. And the last thing that I'll say about Graduation, that's perhaps the most important in the grand scheme of things, is that this drastic stylistic change that Kanye underwent from Late Registration to Graduation, it set a precedent for the next 10 years of Kanye albums to be completely different from one another. Case in point, right after Graduation, he goes completely the other way and makes this super depressed auto-tuned singing album, 808s and Heartbreak, which blazed a whole different trail, a trail that Drake is frankly still on. And then 2010, he ping-pongs back and makes Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. So this bold leap that Kanye made on Graduation turned out to only be the beginning of a career that has just been constantly in flux. So it's been a ton of fun to sit back and reflect on this album 10 years later. It is one of my favorites. I really hope you enjoyed my take on it, and let me know in the comments what you think of Graduation. How did you experience it 10 years ago? How do you view it now? Is it even one of Kanye's best albums? Let me know. As always, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, or shoot me a message so we can continue to talk music, and I will see you guys soon.